Hey, I want to take this opportunity to introduce you to a couple of my plants. I have two of them. One is right here. It's a spider plant. No, my plants do not have, actually, I might have three. I see another one over there that's actually a fake plant. But this one is a spider plant. It's real, and I don't think it has a name. This was given to me by my friend Crunch, who was previously featured in a couple of videos a long time ago in the past. He lives in Wilmington. He's awesome. He gave me this when I visited him once, and it has since grown a lot already. I have it hanging here in my apartment, and it's beautiful. And I haven't killed it yet, or rather, let it die. Here's another one. This is a snake plant given to me for my birthday by a friend. Oh, here's Steve Zusso. Very cute. Yeah, snake plant, right? That's what it's called. There's probably some other scientific name. The thing I worry about most with this one is there's no way for the water to get out if I put too much in there. So I sometimes worry about watering it too much, and then I don't know. I guess you should just stick your finger in here, see if it's wet or dry, before you water it. But I don't know. It's nice to have it here on my desk. And then there's the final plant, which I think I've shown before. That one's not real, but it's cute hanging there from my tripod. Those are my plants. Okay, let's get into the video now. All right, hey everyone. Some time ago, I received this bag in the mail. And as you can see, I've already ripped it open and everything. But there's a lot of stuff in here that I haven't opened yet. Okay, maybe not a lot of stuff, but a few things in here. Wait, first of all, can we look at this? It's like a cute little paper clip in the shape of a pen, a fountain pen nib. Adorable. So from what I can tell, all this stuff is from this, Abrustic. Well, it looks like it says Abrustic Relics, right? But since then I have figured out this is actually AB Rustic Relics, and that's their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, I guess. I don't really know much about Pinterest. There are two very nice handwritten letters, or one letter on 2 pages. Of course, it's in cursive, so I'll have to take it over to the local archaeology department at school to get this deciphered by someone who knows hieroglyphics and stuff like that. All right, I'm back. I got it all deciphered. It turns out I actually got this stuff back in September or something, so I apologize it took me so long to get to all of this, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Here's the translation. Dear Peter, hello, how are you? Hopefully well. My name is Brad from AB Rustic Relics. I buy and sell vintage pens on eBay, mainly Parker, but lots of other stuff too. Down here it says, the reason I'm writing you is I'm a huge fan of the show. Hey, welcome to the show. And have been a longtime subscriber. You have provided me and my family with hours of entertainment and joy, and I thought it was my turn to give back a little. So I've noticed you have been using more and more fountain pens lately, but none have been Parker pens. In my opinion, one of the best pen brands ever made. Now, being from Jamesville, Wisconsin, the original home of the Parker pen, and specializing in them, I wanted to share the joy with a fellow pen friend and talented artist. This handwriting is actually very good. I have included a Parker 25 fountain pen set made in England, a bottle of ink, a Parker notebook, and a Parker jotter made in Jamesville, Wisconsin. I hope you love them as much as I do. It would be great if you could let me know how you like them. Parker pen is now made in France. The plant in Jamesville is no more, but the legend that is Parker still lives and runs deep in Jamesville. Well, I have to go for now. I hope you enjoy the pens, If you do, I would love to see a review. That is, if you have time. Until then, keep on doodling and being you. Check out my YouTube channel at AB Rustic Relics and find more vintage Parker pens at our eBay store. See you next time. Your friend, Brad. Hey, thanks, Brad. All right. Let's see what we've got here. There's like a little piece of paper here, ink cartridge instructions with like raised lettering. 3 packages. How am I supposed to know which one to open first? Also, they all have very cool stamps all over them. There, I kind of opened them all at once. And we have to open this part. All right, there we go. Here is the Parker pen set, I guess. The jotter, I guess you'd call it. Notebook, and the ink. Look at that, vintage ink. Remember how companies have sent me ink, brand new ink, cutting edge stuff, and it's been leaking all over the place? Look at this, vintage. Since 1888, it says. Not a drop leaked out. Let me slide this out of here. Oh, the Parker 25B. There's 2 pens in there. Look, I've got a whole lot to deal with all at once here. I don't know if what I'm supposed to, I don't want to break it. If someone sends me some special stuff sometimes like this, I feel like, all right, I knew that, all right, I felt that happening. I knew that was going to happen. Oh. Or at least now we know that even the insides of this are Parker. It says, writes longer than ordinary ballpoints. Parker, made in the USA. I think I was just supposed to click it. Oh, there we go. Very nice. It's entirely metal. It's an interesting look because it looks like this is the cap that goes on, it could come off the back and go on the front, but that's not what's going on here at all. But it's a nice, sleek, minimalist design. I like it. It's black. It's metal. I like a nice all-metal pen because, it feels solid in your hand. Wait, before I get to the other pen, I want to look at this one that was sitting by itself. I guess the Parker logo is kind of this this arrow. You can see it over there on the notebook as well. Here, yeah, see the logo, little arrow. It says Parker, made in USA. The logo's on the end here as well. Oh, it has green ink in it. I've never ever been like a huge fan of ballpoint pens, right? But this one is working pretty good. It's just, I always have something, whenever I could use a ballpoint pen, there's always been another pen that I'd prefer to use more. Of course, there are some situations where I find ballpoint pens to be the best, where sometimes just for things like addressing mail or sometimes something like that, the ballpoint pen works best. Okay, and this one has nice blue ink in it. Once again, it works pretty good, and I really like how both of these feel in my hand. I think they're mostly metal. This one could be some sort of acrylic right here. I'm not sure. This one does feel good, actually. Actually, I suddenly have the urge to want to start using ballpoint pens more often. Look, I have a weakness for pens, okay? I just want to like pens. I want to use them. All right, and finally, this one, the Parker 25B. Oh, wow. This is a very different nib than I have ever seen in a fountain pen. is different than any of my other fountain pens. Look, it's just like so, I don't know, I feel like most nibs are so much more elongated, right? Like just for comparison, here's a Lamy All-Star next to this one. The nib shape is different. And this is much more common. Actually, this is not that common. Lamy's a little different. Okay, here's an Esterbrook. This is a much more common nib shape, right? And then here is the Parker. Look how different that is. Weird. It almost looks like a different species, you know? Crazy. Now we got to get it working. Okay, unscrew the barrel from the gripping section. Whoa, I have seen something like this before, where you squeeze it like that. It's just a slightly different construction. I do appreciate Brad, thank you for sending this. Just because it's, like, a Parker is a name I've heard about a lot in the fountain pen game, right, in the industry, but this is so much different. This pen is so much different than any other pen I've ever had. So here's the ink. Parker ink. Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's Parker Quink with Solvex. It's also retro. I love it. Glass bottle that says Parker here. Permanent black with Solvex Duofold Centennial. I don't know what any of this means, but I like it. Oh, there was like suction in there as I took it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this in there, and then I'm going to press this in and hold it for a few seconds and then release, because there's like a little tab here. I can press this in, right? And then I can release it and it will suck ink up through the nib into the pen. Right, pressing and releasing. Ink should now be entering the reservoir, if everything goes according to plan. This is why I usually try to have a paper towel ready ahead of time. It's weird how the ink is black, but always, usually in the sides of the bottle, if you look inside of it, it always looks a little bit blue for some reason. Oh, this is a very different smelling ink than most ink that I smell. When I was little, my dad was an airplane mechanic, and sometimes I would go over to the hangar where he worked. He worked on like little turboprop airplanes and stuff, but this reminds me of the smell of the hangar. I don't know what the smell is. It's specifically that is you know, common between this and an airplane hangar, whether it's like grease or like the leather of airplane seats or paint or something, oil. I don't know, but it's very interesting and nostalgic for me. I like it a lot. I'll probably have to cut some of this out because I might just sit here and huff this for a while. Hope it's not bad for me. Okay, then we put the back on here. So this piece right here is all metal, and I think this is plastic. In the back, it does post nicely. There's the pen. Let's see if it works. Oh, it does. Test. The Parker 25B. Nice. It works really well. Now, I think, first of all, we should take... The gasket fell out of the inside of the lid. I should put the lid back on the ink bottle. That's always very important to do. and clean up all the ink that just splattered out as that gasket fell out. Ink went everywhere. C'est la vie. Now I should take this little Parker sketchbook and draw in it with the Parker pen. It says words for the future. I hope that, the sketchbook or notebook doesn't mind if we put lines for the future in here. It's very nice. It says 1888 to 2013 here. I'm not sure what happened in 2013. Maybe there was the history of the pen in that letter I read and I just wasn't paying attention. But I do like how in the upper right-hand corner, there's like little, like Parker info, like little drawings and doodles about how the pen works and the history of it and little drawing stuff. That's very cool. Check that out. Anyways, okay, let's draw in here. Parker ink, in a Parker pen, in a Parker sketchbook. Thank you, Brad. Y'all make sure you check out AB Rustic. What's it called? AB Rustic Relics. Thank you so much for sending this stuff. Sorry it took me so long to get to it. If anyone else has sent stuff that I haven't gotten to yet, I'm sorry, but thank you in advance. Let's draw. Now, unfortunately, I did begin to draw in the Parker sketchbook, but I wasn't able to continue drawing in the Parker sketchbook for too long because even though I was using what I assumed were elements that were meant to be combined, right? Parker ink, Parker pen, Parker sketchbook, the Parker ink bled excessively all the way through the back of the page and onto even the next page in the notebook. So I came to the conclusion that even with a little small test there that you see, maybe this little sketchbook, this notebook, was intended to have the ballpoint pens used in it and not the fountain pens, which was a little bit disappointing, especially since even in the little upper, left hand or right hand corner of the pages there was, history, lore, info, diagrams about fountain pens, and even the art itself looked like it had been done with a fountain pen. I mean, no, it hadn't actually been. It had just been printed on there, but the style of it was a fountain pen style. Anyways, it's fine. I just ended up drawing on a piece of cardstock. You can just buy it in bulk, it's kind of like printer paper, but maybe like twice as thick, or it's just thicker paper. People use it for arts and crafts and stuff. I don't know what the exact definition of cardstock is, but it's just slightly sturdier, and I really shouldn't be using it for drawing on because that's not really what it's intended for. But I bought like a huge ream of it, and so I just have it here. It's cheap. It's just convenient for me to keep grabbing a sheet of it. So I keep grabbing a sheet of it, and I keep regretting it because it's not that great for drawing on with things like a fountain pen. Especially when you start going over a line more than once, it does not stand up to the punishment very well. It'll start falling apart very quickly. And then those were the only times when I found this pen struggling. I did all of this in one sitting, almost. I'll get into that in a second. But the only times this pen was struggling is when I was either like coloring in a little section or going back over some lines. Pretty much any time where the paper was getting a little, even just the tiniest bit soggy under the pen, and then the fibers or the filaments or however paper works, it would start falling apart and it would start to get into the pen nib, and I'd have to kind of clean it out a little bit, just by nothing. I wouldn't have to wash it or anything, just kind of use my fingertips to pull the strings out of there, or use another little scrap piece of paper to clean it out. Anyways, it ended up being fine. It worked great. I did end up having some smudges, but the smudges just came from me choking up too far on the pen nib and touching part of the pen nib where some of the ink was wicking from the pen nib onto my fingertips, and then I was touching the paper. So I didn't have any of the type of smudging that I often have, where I touch the the ink that's been drawn on the paper, and then that smudges. I had none of that, which is very cool. So the ink is very good in that regard. I mean, unless I was just very lucky and didn't, I don't know. No, it's good. I'll say it's good, because in other times I've definitely thought I've touched ink that was, it's too much to explain. I'll say it's good ink. Also, I had almost no other smudges until almost at the very, very end, when I was putting the pen down to take the picture for Instagram. And because of, you know how like when paper gets a little bit damp, it curls up a little bit. The paper does that because it's damp, in this case from all of the ink on there, and also I've been resting my hand on the paper so long it gets a little bit damp just from my hand oils. It was curling up a little bit, and I put the pen down, and it curled up and it touched the nib of the pen, and it was just, I don't know, it was just, it's almost torturous to me that the very last action I took was to smudge the drawing. I was, in fact, it was almost after the last thing I did. Like I finished the drawing and then I smudged it when I put the pen down on it to take a picture for Instagram. But then I did something that I don't normally do, which is I posted it on Instagram, and then I came back the next day because I was looking at it on Instagram. I noticed a few things where I wanted to add some more lines. I came back today. I know the timeline might not match up in your head, but at the time of me recording this, commentary, I drew it and recorded that video footage yesterday, and then today I woke up and added a few more lines, recorded myself adding a few more lines, and now I'm recording this commentary. And, someone draw a timeline out. And then, that's what I don't normally do. After I post something on Instagram, I don't normally add anything else to it. But in this case, I did. I only drew for I probably sat down and drew for 5 more minutes. But that's just, it needed a couple more things. But still, I still am a little bit distraught about the smudge. But I might scan it in, and then once you scan it and digitize it, you can easily erase the smudge, which is nice. But it will always be there on the original, the original piece. But maybe that's what, isn't there? Someone tell me about that Japanese theory of wabi sabi or whatever, about how the imperfections make things more beautiful. But this isn't really an imperfection. It's just a blatant, careless smudge. That Japanese thing is about, how they piece bowls back together with beautiful gold filling in the cracks, and it looks amazing. I don't really know how to tie that back into this, but it's okay. Anyways, I like this pen. It looks, lately I have been into the kind of understated pens. There are a lot of fountain pens out there that are very glamorous, right? There's a lot going on. And those are fun sometimes. Those are a good addition to any collection. I don't know if I'd want my fountain pen collection to be completely, just like this one, where it's just plain black, and just like my Muji pen, plain aluminum, and so on and so forth. But I think it is kind of my preference for it to be a little bit more utilitarian in nature. I want it to work well, first of all. I don't want to necessarily pay more just because something looks flashier. I don't know. I kind of want people to be surprised by how well the pen works, or how good it feels in their hand. Like if someone was to borrow my pen or see that I was using a pen. Most people, anytime I'm using a fountain pen in class, most people are just amazed that I'm using a fountain pen, because that's not normal, Because what are you, Shakespeare? A fountain pen, really? Where's your quill? Anyways, I'm going to go now. It's good to see all of you. Yes, I can see you. All right, goodbye. All right, goodbye. Thanks again for sending this pen. All right, goodbye.